The Atlanta Braves get a sweep of the Philadelphia Phillies over the weekend. Spencer Strider makes history with the strikeouts. Ronald Acuna Jr. hits a couple of big home runs, makes some great plays defensively as well. But there was some bad news on the weekend. The Braves lose Ozzie Albies again, this time for the rest of the regular season with a fractured pinky. We'll talk about that and discuss how the Atlanta Braves move forward in the NL East and how they come back against the Mets. All of that on today's Monday episode of Locked On Braves. So, let's get into it.
You are Locked On Braves, your daily Atlanta Braves podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey, and welcome back to Locked On Braves, part of Locked On Sports Atlanta, where we cover your favorite Atlanta sports teams each and every day. I am your host, Jake Mastriani. You can follow me on Twitter at ShortstopBall. Check out my bio there to see where I am covering the game of baseball, including the Atlanta Braves in written form over at TomahawkTake.com, where I've been the co-editor for several years now. Also, make sure you follow the podcast on Twitter at LockedOn_Braves and send in any questions, comments, or feedback that you have for the podcast. Make sure you're subscribed on YouTube. And if you're watching on YouTube, please do me a favor, hit that thumbs up button and that notification bell, as it helps support the channel a ton when you do that. And thanks for making Locked On Braves your first listen of each and every day. We post episodes daily, 5 days a week, Monday through Friday, and we're free and available on all platforms. On today's Monday episode of Locked On Braves, we're going to recap the weekend, which was a great weekend for the Atlanta Braves with a sweep at home over the Philadelphia Phillies. We'll talk about Spencer Strider, Ronald Acuna Jr., and we'll also, unfortunately, have to discuss Ozzie Albies and another injury for him and just a heartbreaking situation. We'll do our weekly minor league update, which is getting shorter now with a lot of minor league seasons coming to an end. So we will recap last week's performances down on the farm, and then we'll set you up for Monday night's game as the Braves take on the Washington Nationals, looking to gain ground against the New York Mets in the NL East. But let's start with the weekend series against the Philadelphia Phillies. Philadelphia Phillies, as we know, are right there in the midst of a playoff spot. Braves could actually knock them out of that, and they were part of that over the weekend in a 3-game sweep. The Phillies now just 2 games up on a playoff spot, with the Milwaukee Brewers able to take 2 out of 3 against the Yankees over the weekend. And now the Padres are in the second wild card spot. So Braves could potentially be determining who their first round opponent could be if they don't win the division, because they could be playing the Philadelphia Phillies out of that second wild card spot with 4 more games still set against the Phillies. This coming up a weekend. Unfortunately, the Mets swept the Pirates in a 4-game series, so the Braves remain 1 game back in the NL East. But as I've said, just keep yourselves right there. Give yourselves a chance with that 3-game series coming up. And again, hopefully you get a little bit of help, and perhaps that could happen this week as the Mets play the Brewers. We'll talk more about that later in the episode. Some of the highlights from the weekend for me, obviously Spencer Strider. We talked about this a lot on the postcast. Me and Grant McCauley did on Sunday, and we're going to be doing pretty much every game now the rest of the way as the season comes to an end and into the postseason. So we dove in a lot of the specifics of Spencer Strider from Sunday, but obviously want to get into it here with you. Just incredible what he has done all season long, not just on Sunday, but what he has given this Braves rotation, the dominance that he has pitched with. And it's just amazing coming into the year, not really knowing what his role would be, how effective he could be with just 2 pitches. Could he maintain that velocity deep into ball games? Was one of the bigger questions for me. He has answered all of those questions, and I think he's even become even smarter as a pitcher throughout the year as it has gone on. I think earlier in the year, he was just pumping gas every time he threw, and he still is. But I think you've seen him make more of a concerted effort to dial it back, quote unquote, to 97, 98, and then ramp it back up to 99, 100 when he needs it, so that he has that velocity late into games. That's been something for me that I've seen develop throughout the year. And then just knowing when to mix in his breaking stuff, his slider and that changeup, when he needs to keep hitters off balance. And it's incredible the record that he broke on Sunday. And I don't know why more people aren't talking about it. I know me and Grant talked about it a lot, and I've tweeted about it. He became the quickest pitcher ever to reach 200 strikeouts in a season in terms of innings pitched. He reached 200 strikeouts in 130 innings. That is just beyond remarkable. The previous record was held by some guy named Randy Johnson, who did it in 2001, striking out 200 batters and 130 in 2 innings. So, again, I'm out of adjectives to use for Spencer Strider. I don't know how you don't vote for him for Rookie of the Year. On the flip side, I don't know how you don't vote for Michael Harris. I mean, again, there's 2.5 weeks left in this season, and I think it's really coming down the wire here is who wins the NL Rookie of the Year between Michael Harris and Spencer Strider. And I really wish this was just one year where voters could set aside and say, hey, these guys are obviously the two best rookies in all of the National League. Can we not just split this award and give it to both of them? Because they're both so deserving and what they've meant to this team. And obviously, a lot of the tension on Spencer Strider from Sunday, but Michael Harris just continues to do big things as well. He had a good weekend. He got the scoring started on Sunday with a leadoff double in the 7th inning, scored the first run of the game. He almost robbed a home run jumping over the fence in center field that just would have been the catch of the year. So you know what he gives you defensively. But those two guys with what they are doing, it's truly, truly incredible. But Spencer Strider, what he's done with the strikeouts, 13.8 K per nine. I mean, it's historic what we're seeing. And so I don't know who you vote for Rookie of the Year. You let me know down in the comments. Who do you vote for? How do you choose between those two guys? It's a great problem to have for the Braves, but I would not want to be a voter trying to decide which one to vote for between Michael Harris II and Spencer Strider. Another great development over the weekend, Ronald Acuna Jr. showing signs of really breaking out and perhaps sitting in that DH spot for several weeks. Maybe that gave some health to the knees, and he is looking like the old Ronald Acuna Jr. And that is just so great to see because we just honestly haven't seen that this year, and understandable coming off the surgery that he had, the injury that he had. But we saw MVP Acuna this past weekend, from the home runs, the clutch home run on Friday night, the defensive plays that we saw. I mean, he was showing you everything, why he is such a five-tool player when he is healthy, when he is feeling good. And if the Braves can get that Ronald Acuna Jr. down the stretch and in the postseason, this team just becomes that much more dangerous. So it was really fun to see him playing like that, playing free and loose, a lot of confidence. Again, that's the Ronald Acuna Jr. we know and we love. And if we can get that here for the next month and a half, man, it's going to be a lot of fun to watch this Braves team. And then wanted to highlight Friday night. I mentioned the Acuna home run to begin a 6-run 8th inning and a comeback against the Phillies on Friday night. Acuna getting that started with a 2-run blast into the chop house. And the Braves offense continued to pile on there in that 8th inning. They did a great job against this Phillies bullpen this past weekend. And Phillies bullpen has been very good. So that was great to see the offense breaking out on Friday night, because the offense had been struggling coming into this weekend, and they were really struggling for most of that game on Friday. And then they kind of broke out, and then they were a little bit better over the weekend as well, going up against Aaron Nola, getting 4 runs off him, and then getting going again against the Phillies bullpen on Sunday. But there was the unfortunate news for Ozzie Albies. He returns for 2 games, game and a half, really. Dives into second base, fractures his pinky. He is out for at least the next 3 weeks. So that's all the regular season. A chance he comes back for the postseason if the Braves advance around, maybe 2. Just really heartbreaking for the Braves, for Ozzie Albies. I mean, he is one of the leaders of this team. And for that alone, was really looking forward to him coming back and just giving this team another spark and helping leading them into the postseason. He will now not be there as part of the team. Hopefully, he'll still be there in the clubhouse, providing what leadership he can from afar. But just devastating news for Ozzie Albies. The bright side, the Braves do have Vaughn Grissom, who has shown that he can handle major league pitching and be a good defender at second base as well. So the Braves at least have a solid solution already there in Vaughn Grissom. But again, you can't really replace what Ozzie Albies brings you as far as his joy, his leadership in that clubhouse. So really just hate it for Ozzie Albies. Hope he's able to get back soon. And then another negative from the weekend, Matt Olson continues to struggle at the plate. Also had a double play that probably could have turned. The ball was hit pretty hard. He's playing in with a runner at first, but just a bad play there. Ball that got under his glove. Again, could have been a double play to get out of an inning. So he's really lost at the moment. You see it. You see the frustration from him. He knows he's not hitting like he's capable of. So hopefully he's getting it out of his system now. We know he can get hot, and if he can turn things around, again, no better time to get hot than in late September into October. But as of right now, Matt Olson really struggling at the plate. The Braves need to get him going. I do want to end the weekend on a good note. Wild Bill, 4 hits on the weekend, 2 home runs. Now has 19 home runs on the season and 871 OPS. Again, me and Grant McCauley talked about this. All the attention on the young guys and Michael Harris and Vaughn Grissom and Spencer Strider, the actual rookies on the team. Don't forget about William Contreras and the strides that he has made this year, both at the plate and behind it, have been just huge for this Braves team and where they are now and the success that they're having. And he had a big weekend as well. All right, next we'll turn our attention to the minor league level where the seasons are coming to an end for just about all the Braves minor league affiliates, but we'll recap the previous weekend next. BetOnline.net is your number one source for all your pro and college football betting needs and sports info this season. Find all the latest football league developments, game matchups, news, and podcasts as the football seasons get underway. BetOnline is also your continued source for all your sport wagering information, including live betting, esports, and scores. The fastest and easiest way to check in on all your favorite sports and events, including MLB, MMA, boxing, and golf. Head to their website today or use your mobile device to learn more about the trends in action. BetOnline, where the game starts. As mentioned, the minor league seasons are coming to an end. It'll be the last week for pretty much everybody at this point. Braves finished up their week this previous week. Rome also as well in the postseason, and Augusta already had finished their season. So I'll go quickly through some of my top prospects for the Braves and how they did this past week. Kyle Muller, 5 innings, 8 hits, 1 walk, 4 earned, 5 strikeouts. So not the best performance for Kyle. I still think we see him get a start down the stretch here for the Braves at the big league level, especially with Gwinnett's season coming to an end. And I think there's still a potential for Kyle Muller to be on the postseason roster as another lefty that can give you innings. I just think he makes sense. Jared Schuster, 4 innings, 2 hits, 1 walk. So very solid there. Just 1 run, 4 strikeouts. Braves kind of limiting him down the stretch as he gets into some uncharted territory in terms of innings pitched. Bryce Elder, a good start this past Tuesday. He went 6 innings, gave up 5 hits, did walk 3 batters, gave up 2 runs, just 1 earned, and 6 strikeouts. So a good start for Bryce Elder, who, like Kyle Muller, I got to think we see again down the stretch here for the Braves get a spot start. Darius Vines, a solid start this last week at Gwinnett. 6 innings, 5 hits, 1 walk, 2 earned, and 6 strikeouts, finishing off a good season for him. Freddie Tarnick, 3 innings, 3 hits, 2 walks, 1 earned, 3 strikeouts. He's somebody I think we could potentially see on a postseason roster, giving you another righty with some high velocity stuff coming out of the bullpen. Justin Henry Malloy, just 1 for 18 this past week, was still drawing a good amount of walks, had 6 walks and 7 strikeouts, but a rare bad week for Justin Henry Malloy at Mississippi. That's it for your top prospects. Just about everybody else, obviously at the lower levels, are finished for the year. Some highlights from each league that was playing. Ed Gwinnett, Ozzie Albies, and Rylan Bannon actually led the Stripers this past week with 6 hits. Ozzie doing that in just 2 games. And that's interesting because Bannon is the one who replaced Albies on the Major League roster when Ozzie Albies went down. So we'll see if we get a look at Bannon, but he was having a good week with Gwinnett for sure. Picked up 6 hits on the week, this past week for Gwinnett. And at Mississippi, Arden Pabst, 7 for 22 at the plate, 2 doubles and 2 home runs with 6 runs batted in. Drew Lugbauer, 6 for 19, a double and a home run. Drew Lugbauer with 28 home runs on the year, the big lefty masher in the Braves system. And then Alan Winans, 7 innings, 3 hits, 1 walk, no earned, 10 strikeouts. He has been really good with Mississippi this year. Just a little bit about Alan Winans. He's 27 years old. He was a 17th round pick by the Mets out of Campbell in 2018. He started this year in Gwinnett, got injured, missed all of May and June. But since coming back and with Mississippi in 8 starts, a 1.72 ERA, a 0.81 whip, 47 innings pitched, just 23 hits allowed, 15 walks, and 45 strikeouts. So, again, been really great on the mound for Mississippi. Dylan Dodd, another solid start, 5 innings, 4 hits, 1 walk, 1 earned, 7 strikeouts. And then Tanner Gordon, I had mentioned last week that it felt like he had been on a run of really great starts lately. This past week, 5 innings, 1 hit, 3 walks, 2 earned, 7 strikeouts. He's now gone at least 5 innings and given up 2 earned or less in 5 straight starts. So a really good end to the season for Tanner Gordon there at Mississippi. And then I mentioned to Rome, they lost in the championship series to Bowling Green by 1-2 count after winning the first game at home. They lost the next 2 on the road at Bowling Green. Jacob Pearson was 3 for 12 in that series with a home run. Brandel Mosqueda, a rising prospect in the Braves system, he had a home run and scored 3 runs in that series. Royber Salinas struck out 10 batters, just 4 1/3 innings, and allowed just 1 run on 3 hits and 3 walks. A big strikeout pitching prospect there for the Braves. Raldy Munoz out of the bullpen had 5 strikeouts in 2 1/3 innings, and Grant Holmes had 5 strikeouts as well in 3 innings, allowing an earned run on 2 hits and no walks. So there's some of the highlights from Rome in the postseason. And then finally, Mike Soroka pitched last Friday night, 5 innings, 6 hits, 1 walk, 2 hit batters, 6 earned runs allowed, 6 strikeouts, but the 3 home runs really not used to seeing that from Mike Soroka, a guy who gets a lot of ground balls, and he did in that game. But 3 home runs, 6 earned runs, and again, kind of like his last rehab outing, was one really bad inning that he had. But again, Mike Soroka not getting the results. I just at this point would say he's not quite ready to come back up at this point. We need to see some more success from him at the minor league level, but continuing to get his pitch count up. I believe he threw 80 pitches in that start on Friday night. So should get hopefully 1 more with Gwinnett, and then we'll see what the Braves decide to do with him, if they want to give him an opportunity at the big league level. I think a lot of that depends on how things play out down the stretch. But either way, getting his work in obviously is going to take him some time to get back where he wants to be, where we're used to seeing him be. Hopefully he gets there, but it was another rough outing for him last Friday night. The Braves also announced their Arizona Fall League participants. They'll have 6 players going to the Arizona Fall League. That list will include Jose Montilla, a pitcher for the Braves, Alex Segal, Austin Smith as well, and Alan Winans, who I just mentioned, will be going there as pitchers for the Braves. Cal Conley, promising infielder for the Braves, will be there, as well as Justin Henry Malloy, who rose a lot up the Braves ranks this year. So those are the guys you'll be seeing in the Arizona Fall League for the Braves. All right, next we'll turn our attention to Monday's game, where the Atlanta Braves take on the Washington Nationals, hoping to keep pace or potentially gain ground on the New York Mets this Monday night. Before we get into Monday night's game, I did want to mention Bryce Elder was recalled on Monday as the Braves sent William Woods back down. William Woods was called up after Kirby Yates was placed on the IL. So I want to make sure I got that bit of news in there. Interesting to see what they do with Bryce Elder, if he perhaps gets a start here in this national series, and you can push Max Fried back for that Phillies series. Either way, he may just be up there, in case of an emergency. But obviously, we know Bryce Elder Can start a game if needed to. If you wanted to push back the rotation a little bit, give a guys like Spencer Strider, like Kyle Wright, a break, who've been dealing with some, at least in terms of Kyle Wright, dealing with some arm fatigue. You could certainly do that with Bryce Elder now back on this roster. Hopefully, he won't be needed on Monday night as Kyle Wright is on the mound for the Braves going up against Corey Abbott of the Washington Nationals. Abbott, a second-round pick in 2017 by the Chicago Cubs. He's been back and forth from starter and reliever this year. Overall, a 4.37 ERA, a 1.31 WHIP, in just 35 innings with 32 strikeouts. Might not be around long in this one, has not been going very deep into games here lately. Is more of just kind of an opener. So hopefully the Braves can jump on him early and get a big lead, and Kyle Wright can cruise to his 19th win of the year in his search for 20. And hopefully we get a solid start out of Kyle Wright. I mentioned he's been dealing with that arm fatigue. Would love to see him, get out here, have a quality start type of outing we've been accustomed to seeing from Kyle Wright this year. A good opportunity to do that against the Nats lineup. That being said, the Atlanta Braves can't let up here. You can't look at the record. You can't look at the team name and just sit back after playing such a good series against the Phillies. You got to continue to keep your foot on the gas here. If anything, crank it up a little bit more and make sure that these are stress-free wins and take some stress off your bullpen, who had to pitch some stressful innings over the weekend. So hopefully the Braves don't let up here, don't play down to the competition, take care of business, win these games early, put them away, have some stress-free wins, allow your pitchers to just work through these games and have some solid outings. Offense, put up some big numbers and get going. Hopefully it's a good opportunity for somebody like Matt Olson, as well as Austin Riley, who I know had a couple of hits over the weekend trying to break out of his funk as well. But hopefully it's a good opportunity for guys like Matt Olson to get going and hopefully get hot down the stretch here. As far as the Mets, they go up against the Milwaukee Brewers for a 3-game series this week, and they'll have to face Corbin Burns on Monday night. Believe Max Scherzer is returning to face him in that matchup. Brewers kind of been struggling a bit, but played pretty well over the weekend against the Yankees. And like I said, because the Braves took care of business against the Phillies, Brewers just 2 games back of the Phillies for that final wild card spot. So they are definitely fighting for a chance to be in the postseason. They have something to play for here as they go up against the Mets. So hopefully the Braves can get a little bit of help from the Brewers in that series and see if the Braves can pick up ground, because again, yeah, that series against the Mets is great. And, you give yourself a chance with that series, but the Braves really need to be ahead of the Mets going into that series because of the tiebreaker rules. And even if the Braves win that series, the Mets hold the season series, and they would hold that tiebreaker if things did end up in a tie in the division. So you want to make up ground. You want to be ahead of the Mets going into that series at home later in the month. And this could be a good opportunity for the Braves to do that as they face the Nats while the Mets face the Brewers, the only other team other than the Braves that the Mets face who is above 500 down the stretch. That will do it for this episode of Locked On Braves. Thanks for making Locked On Braves your first listen of the day. Now make your second listen Locked On MLB, where MLB expert Paul Francis Sullivan brings humor, passion, and a unique perspective on every team, talking about the biggest stories from around the league. Again, thanks for listening. Be sure to follow us on Twitter at LockedOn_Braves, and you can follow me at ShortstopBall. Also, make sure you rate, review, and subscribe to the podcast wherever you get your podcast, and we will talk to you next time.